Good afternoon and welcome to the Asian Midday Market Watch. Let's first take a look at how various markets are performing, starting with the cryptocurrency market. If we look at Bitcoin is at 47,180. It's up 0.26%. Ethereum is at 3,465.42. It's up sharply 7.31%. If we look now at markets across the region, we've got the Straits Times Index in Singapore at 3,088.09. It's up 1.08%. Bursa Malaysia, the FBM KLCI, is at 1,592.06. It's down 0.58%. The Nikkei is at 28,408.60. It's up sharply 1.14%. The Shanghai Composite is at 3,574.56. It's up 0.86%. The Hang Seng is at 26,038.35. It's up 0.62%. Bucking the trend is the ASX 200. It is down 0.28% at 7,513.9. Rounding up the numbers is the Kospi, which is at 3,203.06. It's up 0.12%. Now let's take a look at what experts had to say about market performance in the first half of the day. Now, to start with, here are two key points from this morning's sessions. Now, the Caixin Market Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index in China for August came in at 49.2, below the 50 mark that separates expansion from contraction. Now, Australia's gross domestic product rose 0.7% in the June quarter, above expectations of a 0.5% increase, according to Reuters. Now, overall, Asian stocks gave up on their recent gains in cautious trading on this morning, while the dollar inched back from 3-week lows as worries about slowing global demand and growth in several markets turned to weigh in on traders' minds. The MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside of Japan fell 0.4%, edging off a 3-week high reached yesterday. Now, in the past 2 weeks, the regional benchmark has gained much of the ground lost a few weeks earlier when markets globally dropped, spooked by the possibility that the US Federal Reserve was moving closer to tapering its asset purchases. However, yesterday, Chinese blue chips fell 0.44%, and Hong Kong 0.5%, as worries about slowing growth in China remained a drag. Now, on Monday, China reported that factory activities expanded at a slower rate, while the services sector slumped into contraction, showing that China's current soft patch is continuing in the third quarter. Now, this is according to Mansoor Mohiuddin, the chief economist at Bank of Singapore. He added that authorities may become more open to providing further monetary and fiscal stimulus to keep the economy from experiencing a broader slowdown for the rest of the year. Australian shares fell 0.58%, pairing earlier losses slightly after figures showed that the GDP grew 0.7% in the June quarter. ANZ analysts said ahead of the release that the figures would be largely old news. The more pressing concern, however, is how large the September quarter GDP contraction will be. Japan's Nikkei, however, gained 0.89%, boosted by data showing that Japanese companies' capital spending rose in the second quarter, the first such increase since the pandemic began. Fears about the slowing growth are not, however, unique to China. Overnight, Wall Street finished marginally lower after US consumer confidence fell to a 6-month low in August, as soaring COVID-19 infections and rising inflation dampened the economic outlook. However, the slightly subdued ending to August failed to detract from a strong monthly performance by the US 3 main indexes, helped by a dovish tone from the speech from Fed Chair Jerome Powell last Friday. Now, Powell also suggested an improvement in labor markets is one major remaining prerequisite for the Fed to taper asset purchases. Much attention is therefore focused on the non-farm payroll numbers, which are coming out this Friday. Now, looking at rates, currencies, and commodities, Yields on benchmark 10-year Treasury notes gained slightly in Asian hours at 1.3256% compared to the US close of 1.302%, but was still sitting roughly in the middle of the range in which they have traded over the past 2 months. Now, in currency trade, the dollar index, which measures the greenback against 6 rivals, rose marginally, having fallen to a 3-week low the day before. Now, oil was steady with US crude at $68.49 a barrel and Brent crude at $71.72 per barrel. Nothing's changed for much of the day, having finished August with their first monthly losses since March. Now, an OPEC Plus meeting where major producers will decide whether or not to go ahead with their plan to add supply is due to take place later today, and we could see some movement in oil prices depending on the outcome of the meeting. Now that's it for the Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Brian Fernandez. Check out www.biztech.asia for business and technology conversations. Please like and subscribe to our Facebook and LinkedIn pages, and as well as our various platforms. Thank you very much for tuning in.